Good morning. I'm Charlie Baker, and joining me here today is Al Famoso. First off, I want to thank you for taking the time to share your memories. And now I'd like to talk to you a little bit about the background. Where and when were you born?
I was born in 1920 in New York City in Harlem.
Okay, where all have you lived prior to being in Carroll County?
I lived in mostly Brooklyn, at Manhattan and Brooklyn. Spent most of my life in Brooklyn. Flatbush, where the Dodgers used to be.
Okay, what kind of work did you do?
I worked in the motion picture field. I was a motion picture laboratory technician for 42 years. Did every job from carrying an empty can to actually finishing the product, putting it on the screen.
And that makes me feel like, oh, what am I doing back here behind this thing? That's great that you.
That's memories now.
That's great that you did all that. Now, do you know any stories about how your family members first came to the States?
To the city or the country?
To the country.
Well, actually my mother was born in New York City, same place I was born. And my father came from Italy. I think it was just before World War I. He came over, and much more about it I don't remember, of whatever they told me, because I had nothing written down.
Did they come and live in New York at that time?
It's on New York, Atlantic City, and parts of New Jersey. The family kind of spread around.
Okay, did they stay in that area after they had moved in?
They did for many, many years, yes.
I mean, your parents also?
Yes, my father and his brother married my mother and my aunt. There were two brothers married two sisters.
Well, how and when did you come to live in this area in Carroll County?
How we did that? My oldest daughter was married, and her husband, my son-in-law, was looking around for good jobs. He worked for the city, and he wasn't too happy with the job. He's an engineer, civil engineer, and he finally got connected with the federal government, and they started traveling around. They've lived in Texas for a while, and then they finally settled in this part of Maryland. And they settled down and had their family. So after retirement, I wasn't going to stay in New York City. So we packed up and moved to Maryland. So we're here for something like 30 years after we retired.
So you have been down here for the
About
30
years.
years? Oh, well, that's very good.
I still feel like a newcomer.
Okay, going back to childhood, do you have any memories of things that, like, what special games did you play, or what kind of toys did you have, or were there other kids around?
Well, when we were children, we were, I guess, at the pool class. So we had to make up our own games and actually make our own toys, if you could. And we played Chase the White Horse, what was it? Used to run and hide and catch me, all these kinds of games. And some of them were pretty physical, but it was with everything else. My brothers were all always around. At least two or three of them at the time, young enough to stay in my area. So, but we all branched off our own family, our own friends, because different age groups kind of collected together. And I stayed with my group, my brother stayed with their group. But they were always in the family. It was 7 brothers and 2 sisters. And well, my oldest sister was like the 2nd lieutenant of the family. When my mother wasn't home, she was in charge. You've got a teenage girl in charge of 7 all kinds of age brothers. We drove her crazy. She'd have to, with time for supper, she'd go down and try to collect us to get upstairs, go to get ready for bed. Half the time she couldn't find us. We're up in trees, climbing poles, hiding behind things. So we used to drive her crazy.
You drive her crazy, but I bet you nowadays you can think of real respect for her.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. She died at a young age, which was a sad thing. But I mean, being poor, we didn't know we were poor because everybody else was too. So.
You know, that brings out a lot of appreciation of things.
Oh yes, it does.
Rather than looking down on someone.
Oh yeah.
Okay, how about home entertainment at that time? What kind of things did you do as home entertainment?
Home entertainment. I used to entertain myself by drawing. I used to copy cartoons from the newspapers. I used to copy covers of magazines, drawing, coloring, and watch the radio. You sat down just like you would in front of a TV set, and you listen to the radio. It sounds stupid, but that's what you did. And you could actually see the Lone Ranger when he'd come up, and all the other shows. And that basically was our entertainment.
So you watched the Lone Ranger?
I liked the Lone Ranger. I watched a few of the others too. I can't think of any that's right off. Oh, Tarzan.
Oh yes.
Oh, Tarzan of the Apes. Occasionally we got to the theater. For 10 cents you went to the movies. So if we ever could collect 10 cents, you ran right to the theater. And it was, no matter what time you got there, because the show kept continuous all day long, the same show. So if you missed part of it, you waited and sure enough, it came around again. It was like a repeat.
What a deal for 10 cents.
Oh, of course, well, it was a lot of money for us, but I guess it was a good deal.
Okay, well, did you make things, make crafts and things growing up?
Yes, I did. We didn't have much material to use. I would find, broken things and put them together and make some toy out of it or something. But especially, I know what our favorite was. You can't do it today. We used to get the empty fruit boxes, and there'd be a panel on each side. There was 4 square pieces of wood with a flat piece on each end. So we'd break the box apart and take those corners and cut it so that you'd come with a shape like a gun.
Uh-huh.
And then on the ends, there were 2 pieces you could cut off, and we nailed a rubber band on the front, pulled it across, cut cardboard, put it, and it had cardboard guns.
Well,
So
it
we made that ourselves.
sounds like you had things to keep you busy
Oh,
then.
yeah.
Other than playing Chase the White Horse.
Yeah. Well, that's when you had company. No, you also made paper airplanes, all kinds, the straight kind, the flicked, the delta wing, all out of paper.
Wonderful. Now, did your family have any special holidays that where the whole family or
Oh, yeah.
friends would get together?
Christmas, Thanksgiving, and New Year's, the 3 big ones. They always celebrated them. And they always try to have the family get together somewhere, in one house or another house. So I guess that was tradition.
How many people do you think were normally there when you'd have a celebration on one of those days? Just guessing.
It was 11 of us, so nobody came. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, at least 20, 20 more.
Very good.
At least about 20.
That's a lot of talking and having fun.
Oh, yeah.
Wonderful. Well, were there any special traditions that your family had that maybe they carried down from your predecessors and you're carrying on down to your family?
There's nothing that hits my mind right now. It could be. I'm not sure.
Okay, well, you know, there's many things that you just sort of take for granted that as you think back later, you say, yeah, that must have been just our family. How about any special foods or songs or any customs that the family had?
We had special foods. On Sunday, it was macaroni or spaghetti and meatballs, beef. That was you always knew. It was always Sunday, you were going to have macaroni and meat sauce. No matter what, you never asked, you never questioned. That's what we had. Company came, that's what you had. So there was no such thing as, what we have today. You knew exactly what it was.
You knew it. Well, that's good.
No questions.
Okay, how about describing the place where you grew up? Was it on a farm or was it in you said it was around New York?
In New York City, where I didn't see a tree, I think until I was about 6 years old. I never knew they had trees because I wasn't allowed off the street that I lived on.
Uh-huh.
From one point to the other point, that's as far as we were allowed to go. And we had to listen because there was always another big brother watching you and a big brother watching him. So, you know, my mother didn't have to have babysitters because she had built-in babysitters.
Didn't have to worry about the police because everybody else was taking care of you.
That's right. No police. Oh, that was an order. No police knock on my door. My mother said that, believe it or not. I remember that. And nobody ever did.
Huh.
Never did.
Well, very good. Well, can you, if you have been up that way lately, can you talk about any changes that have taken place in that area?
Funny you ask. We were up there not so long ago. A couple of weeks ago. My son-in-law comes from the same area, and he decided to take us all on a nostalgic trip back where we come from. And it's changed, of course, population's changed. It's funny. What I was always accepted and never realized, we're driving down through different parts of Brooklyn. One part of Brooklyn would be all black people. And where you worked, you're all black. And then suddenly you pass the street, next light, they turned to white. They were all white people. It was like somebody cut it and separated it right from that point. And then you have another block where the religious Jews lived. You notice them right away because of the way they dressed. And that would be another section. So New York is still connected but disconnected by different areas.
Yes.
A few streets made a big difference. If you were on this street, you were in a familiar area. If you were on this street, you were out of town. And that hasn't changed. But
yes, I would imagine that probably is true today up there.
it is, yeah.
Yes.
I couldn't believe it. I was really shocked. It was so obvious.
Well, how about describing where you now live here in Carroll County?
Oh, where I live on 3 acres. I have a one-family home with only 1, 2, 3, 4 bedrooms and baths, 2 baths. and I have a wonderful wife, takes care of everything. So I'm getting a little too old to do some of the chores, but my children help out, and my grandchildren help out. So
And they live around here?
some of them do, yes. I have some live in Arizona. In fact, I have a son in Arizona.
Mm-hmm. But now your family, not going back, but your
Immediate family.
son's daughters, immediate family.
Yeah.
Do they have any special memories or stories you can think about?
I'm not sure right now.
It doesn't matter. It's just, if anything comes to
Well,
mind.
But my son, he remembers all the stories I told him. And then when he got drafted, he went to Vietnam, I told him, don't volunteer. They'll get you, don't volunteer. And he says, boy, it was the best advice I ever had. It sounds like they want to volunteer to do something so trivial and nice. Don't do it. Winds up being. So that I can remember. And he reminds me every once in a while. But he spent his time in Vietnam. And he's still suffering. He got Agent Orange. He came out of that war worse than I did. I come out fine. So,
Okay, well that brings me up to the next part. You obviously were in the military with your World War II veteran hat. So
yes.
how about telling me what branch did you go into and when?
Well, it's a little quirky story though at the beginning. I joined the New York National Guard right out of high school. Because my brother joined, my older brother Bob joined, and my cousin was sergeant, and my other cousin was company clerk. So I joined the family army. And it was the quartermaster, New York National Guard. And we would visit, we met like I think once a month, and drove motorcycles and trucks, and we went away to camp on maneuvers twice. And so I was in the military when I was 19 years old. But then, one day the captain, his name was, believe it or not, Captain Kidd, he called us all in and told us that the situation is getting serious. The U.S. is going to get into the war, and that we were going to federalize all of the National Guard troops all over the country. So that meant we were going to become soldiers, U.S. soldiers, no more New York State soldiers. So I got the physical that day, and everybody passed except me. I didn't pass. I wore glasses. Yeah.
Wore glasses?
Yeah, I wore glasses. I couldn't see the chart. Take your glasses off. I took my glasses off. Read the chart. I can't see the chart. Well, now, it sounds peculiar, but the only rationale is that during the Depression, which was we were just coming out of it, everybody that didn't have a job, didn't have something to eat or a place to sleep, wanted to join the army. At least you get 4 square, 3 square, and some place to sleep. So they made the test very hard. So they wanted the best. You had to have good eyes, good teeth, good everything. So I was thrown out. So I got discharged from the Army of the United States, U.S. Federal. A year later, I got an invitation. Your friends and neighbors invite you down for a physical. This time they drafted me. This time they lowered the standards for the eyes, and they said, you were in. So I was in the Army. And of all things, I applied for the motion picture area. They had a big motion picture area, and I never got in. I wound up, I was a medic. I didn't know why, maybe they made a medic out of me. But they bounced me all over the country as a medic. Sent me to one school, they sent me to another school. I had basic training twice. We shipped out a lot of soldiers, different units. They used us to help with the physical for the other people. We had to give them their examinations before they aboard the ship. And then so one day we got our orders. They shipped us out. Where are we going? Washington State. From where were we? Virginia. All the way out to Washington State by train. We stayed there for 3 months. Of course, we figured we're going to Japan. It's right to San Francisco. Where are you going to go? We're going to go to Japan. We got our orders again, get on the train. And you'll never know where I wound up. On the same street where I used to work. The Queen Mary was staying there, waiting for it. I could see the Queen Mary from where I worked. So I was on the Queen Mary for a day and a half, looking at the building where I used to work. From 3,000 miles away, back to where I started. Now
That's something, that had to be a long trip back.
Yeah. I would hear guys say, oh, we just passed my house. I live in Ohio. I said, well, you shut up that building over there. I worked there for 10 years.
Let me take you back. Where did you go through boot camp at that time?
I think it was, it was down south. It wasn't Alabama. I'm trying to think of that.
Well, that's all right. I just wondering, because
I got basic rated twice.
yeah,
I got every cannon, every gun, every explosive you could think of. Hand grenades, bazookas, rifle grenades, pistol, and even the new gun. We had a small gun. They invented it for the paratroopers. It was a small machine gun. We used that quite a bit. And then I never had a gun in my hand after that.
okay. Did you get any special medals when you were in the military?
Special medals? I got the usual ones for being in battle areas. I think I got 2 or 3 medals, but they were just the general attack measure. Nothing exemplary, nothing special.
Well, I tell you what, anyone who was in World War II area, and at that time, I think any medal they got was special to anyone who has come around since then. So we thank you. Have you seen any of the members that you were in the service with since you've gotten out, or recently?
Oh, I did once, twice. But in my earlier years, I met one. He was an actor. I met him on Broadway. He was in a play in New York City. I met him twice. Nice kid. He was in my outfit. Yeah, he came in as a extra. We got friendly. And then I bumped into him again years later. Then I met one other fellow I was in the medics with in New York City. And we got to talk a little bit. They lose track of the ball one by one.
Well, it's nice to have met up with them,
yeah,
again. How did your family feel about you going in the military at the time?
What part? My whole family was in the military.
Okay, so it was
my mother,
regular business for them.
My father and my mother, I guess, what could they say? They had five sons in, and my other brother was rejected, and my sister was rejected, so we had like 7 in the military. But they all came home. One was in the Air Force, 2 in the Navy, and 2 in the Army. And my mother passed away while we were in the service.
Would you still recommend military life for
Some people,
young
yes.
people?
Some people have no direction, have no idea what they want to do. In some areas, it's good. I wouldn't discourage them for it.
What do you think the most valuable experience was that you gained from your military life?
It's probably something that is not visual. It's probably something mental. I really couldn't say offhand. I never thought about it. But it was nothing, well, yes, in a way, there was a lot of discipline, which was easy to accept. For me, like I say, in a big family, you had to toe the line. We had got orders all the time. And in the military, when you got orders, you just did it. It didn't bother you. People, a lot of people had to fight. They couldn't stand being told what to do. I never had that problem.
Well, I think that's a good thing to pass on here.
Yes.
Okay, I have finished my questioning. Do you have anything else you can think of that you would like to add in here?
Not particularly. I enjoyed the trip coming home.
Well, that sounds good.
The trip going was a little hairy, and it's funny. I could see those ships before I was in the service. The same ships at the pier, because the pier was only like a block away from my building. And there was a Queen Mary, and there were 2 other big ships. They turned into troop ships. And I remember on Queen Mary, I got my bunk up near the ceiling, 7 bunks high at a climb. So we had thousands, I don't know how many thousand men aboard that ship. But they had every kind of military. They had aircraft, they had anti-aircraft, they had, I don't know. With me, I was a medic. They put me in the hospital on the boat. But they could get men from any area for whatever they needed on that ship to run the ship.
Yeah.
And by the way, that's the first time I ever heard of radar. Radar.
Oh, yes.
Nobody ever heard of radar. But I had a box over my head, and I could hear it. Mr. Peterson. So they say, Mr. Peterson, come to the radar room. Say, Mr. Peterson, whoever you are, get to the radar room. We're being chased maybe by something, I don't know. But those are memories.
Okay, well that sounds like you have some very good memories there. And I'm very happy that you came in for the interview, and I want to thank you very much for taking the time to share these fond memories with us. We hope your life continues to have an uplifting lifestyle with many years of enjoyment.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Al.
Thank you.